What is up, my fellow wannabes? Welcome to my channel. I am Gabriel Fast, I am the wannabe critic, and this is Beer Bros. Now, as you can see, I'm with a new face. We like to kind of alternate it out, every once in a while. Let's, hopefully every episode will be different people, because, no one wants to see the same guy every single time.
No, it gets boring.
Yeah. So, why don't you introduce yourself, man?
Charlie Murphy. Been a beer geek for, 15, 20 years, I guess, since I could drink, ish, and love all different kinds of beers, everything you can get your hands on, basically, as you can see. There's a small collection. Homebrewed, started homebrewing about 10 years ago, and do that from time to time. Don't do it as often as I want, but it is a blast once you get into it. Actually, homebrewing is what made me get into IPAs. I didn't like IPAs until I started homebrewing, and then once you started to use the hops and everything like that, it came together, and I started diving into the hop world. Before that, it was all just big malt bombs and stuff like that. So,
right on.
But lots of fun.
Very cool. So, I myself actually just recently started getting into the more, the hazier IPAs, the juicy IPAs. That's like my favorite. I'm learning to appreciate the more piney hops, as time is going on. And I don't really know. I know the Citra obviously is what, a lot of these hazier IPAs are using nowadays just because of its potency, for juice or whatever. What is your favorite hop type, would you say?
Citra's really good. Amarillo is really good. There's a Falconer's Flight hop that gives really good flavors in beers as well, and that's kind of like a mashup kind of thing of different hops, but definitely Citra and Amarillo. Simcoe's really nice. When you start talking about the piney IPAs, West Coast, true West Coast styles, the Centennial and Cascade and all those types of hops just have that real nice piney, earthy, kind of more gritty hop flavor to them, and I really like those styles as well. I mean, the juicy ones are just delicious.
Yeah, I mean, it's like universally good.
Yeah,
it's like if people say, "Oh, I don't like an IPA," it's like, all right, try this. Because that's exactly what happened to me. I had a friend of the show, Preston Young. I told him, I was like, "No, dude, IPA is just bitter. not for me." And he was like, "You're an idiot." And then he showed me, Sunshine Chugsuckle, which still to date is my favorite IPA. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I've appreciated the more piney styles, the West Coast styles, but I do prefer my hops from the East Coast whenever possible. You mentioned before, we're in this room. Where are we right now? What is this? Is this your own personal little brewery? I mean, how many bottles of beer are we looking at? Jeez.
We have over 600 bottles in the cellar. And it's a collection that started 10 years ago mainly with Bourbon County, and then KBS and Backwoods Bastard, and then it just kind of progressed into all of the others. We have most of the stouts are behind us, stouts, barley wines, all that stuff, and then over here on this side is all sours, whole wall of sour beers. So
it's impressive. I walked in and I was like, wow, as someone who enjoys geeking out in general and who is, becoming an aspired beer geek as well, I was like walked in, it's like amazing. And you can't see it right now. We'll definitely be doing another episode with Charlie, kind of talking about his own home brewing situation he has, but it's not really set up for that right now. But this man has his own keg fridge back here with beers on tap. There's a screen showing you which beers he has on tap. So this man is the definition of a connoisseur and beer geek, which is why I'm very excited to have him on Beer Bros. So I really appreciate you taking your time, Charlie, to sit down and do this with me. We're gonna shoot a couple episodes today, and I kind of told you to pick 2 out of this area of your collection. So what are we drinking today?
Well, I thought we would start with a stout. I say we do this one.
Okay.
It's Darkest Hour from Anchorage Brewing Company. It's a 2014. Beer Advocate rates this at about a 94 point out of 100 scale. So let's crack this thing open.
I love that sound.
2014. Whenever you can pour a 5-year-old stout, it's always a good day.
That is dark. That is like the darkest beer I think I've ever seen in my entire life.
It's called Darkest Hour.
Look at that on the GoPro right there. That is insane. So, would you consider yourself to be a true connoisseur?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's put this...
it's not it's a hobby, but you're always looking for that next just killer beer that somebody's making. Doesn't matter if it's one of the big guys or if it's, you know, the new small brewery that you can get a hold of only in that state and you got to trade for it kind of thing.
Right.
Done a lot of trading and shuffling beers to try and get something, you know.
Right.
And I have a lot of friends that traded a bunch of beers to get really cool beers and do a little bottle share and get to taste stuff
that you would have never been able to, probably.
Yeah, Morning Delight and, you know, some of the beers that are a lot harder to get a hold of.
Right.
That are awesome, you know. And everybody's kind of gotten into the beer, and now we have all these small breweries popping up all over everywhere. I mean, Springfield's got 6 or something now, and so we have a plethora of beer, and now it's kind of finding the ones that you really enjoy, and then finding the ones that you've had before that you want to be able to have again.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. So, does this come out every year? Are we going to take a smell?
I don't know if this comes out every year or not. Springfield hasn't gotten this beer since 2014.
Okay, so this is a big deal, ladies and gentlemen, that we're able to get this beer. And I mean, just look at it. Would you look at it? Like how dark that is. It's insane. True stout. Stouts are my favorite types of beer for sure. Oh my. That is really not what I was expecting at all, honestly.
No?
This is it almost has like a fruity hint to it a little bit, like towards the end. You can really...
Some of that dark fruit kind of...
So, you being a beer connoisseur, a brewer, you know, a beer geek, you've been in it obviously for a long time, you've had way more beer, you've probably drank way more beer than anyone I know. For sure. Different types of beer. Sorry. He's not a drunk, ladies and gentlemen.
I've drank my fair share of beers.
So let's put this... I don't want to say let's put this to rest, but I want to know your opinion. I watched a video recently on a beer sommelier, right? Mm-hmm. And he was saying that when you pour your beer, you should have a decently aggressive pour, no matter what the beer is you're drinking. Would you say that's correct?
Yeah, it's going to open it up. You know, it especially on IPAs and stuff. If you pour it and you get a nice head, it's always going to open up that beer and get everything kind of moving on you. You know, there's a number of beers that I've seen that says don't drink out of can. Right. You know,
I've seen beers that say do drink it out of the can.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? What's that one in Vermont that everyone's all crazy about?
Heady Topper?
Yeah, Heady
Alchemist.
Topper. Right.
Yep.
What do you think of that beer? Pretty good?
Very good.
I like that beer a lot. Yeah. And it is very, very good out of the can.
I don't have any right now.
Gotcha.
I say we could drink one next, but...
Well, you know, it is what it is.
I do have Sip of Sunshine.
Don't know what that is. He's like the Yoda of beer, ladies and gentlemen. So, I don't have my phone because I'm using it to shoot right now, just in case. You know, I want to have a wider shot that we can kind of show off. So I think on my Untapped, this is, for me, I'm getting a lot of, this seems like a really well-rounded beer. You're getting light hints of coffee, for sure. Little lingering hints of fruit, like what we were talking about before. Yeah. Has a very, you know, stout forward taste. You know, it's obviously it has a lot of depth from the very beginning. It smells really good. It is much lighter in the mouth than what I was expecting it to be. I thought it was going to be really, really heavy. Yeah. And it's just not.
The whiskey note isn't real high right now. You know, beers in bottle change and it fluctuates, but right now the whiskey note on this one is down, and the oak is up. That's how whenever I'm drinking a big barrel-aged stout, I always pay attention to where the oak note and the whiskey notes are, because, like CBS and KBS, Bourbon County, when you get them, that first initial one you crack open, a lot of times those beers are hot.
Oh yeah, it's
you're like, whew,
yeah, for real.
You feel that whiskey
I definitely,
note.
yeah, and that's definitely like I get what you're saying about the oak kind of being more forward rather than the actual whiskey taste itself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I totally get that.
This is balanced out. It's rounded out. Everything's come together in the bottle, and it's just you can taste every part of it as you go through, and that's where I love aged stouts. To me, that's when you really get the taste of that beer is when you can taste the whole beer versus straight whiskey up front.
Right. Well, I mean, this has been aging for 6 years almost. Yeah. It's definitely, it's showing its age. It's aged like a fine wine, ladies and gentlemen.
Like a fine stout.
Yeah, like a fine stout. Exactly. It's delicious. So you were saying that this beer has a 94 on what now?
Beer Advocate.
Beer Advocate. Okay.
So I pulled it up. It's
give us the lowdown on what's going on with this beer.
94 points, ranked 1,684 times. So for the 94 point average, it is 13%. It's out of Anchorage Brewing Company out of Alaska. Everybody seems to really enjoy it. Same things we were talking about. One of them says midnight black motor oil pour. This one says intense licorice notes.
I don't get any of that.
Smooth despite a whopping 13%.
Yeah,
I don't really get the licorice.
I don't get that either. Mm-hmm.
But kind of more like a little bit of black currant kind of note on the very, very end of it. For me, very little. Yeah, I get what they were saying. It's licorice forward. It has an intense licorice note. Now, I don't know when they drank theirs.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
And when that was done,
I could see
this was in May of 18.
Gotcha.
But it doesn't say what year it was or anything like that either.
Gotcha. Well, it's a very good beer, and here on Beer Bros, unless it's your first time, so what we like to do is we kind of, after we've talked through it, we poured it, we've shown it off, we kind of like to go back and forth on what we think it deserves on the Untapped score. Do you have an Untapped account?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so obviously you have probably checked into this beer before.
I have.
So why don't you pull it up on yours? And since I'm filming, what we're gonna do is we'll take a selfie in a minute, and I will put the official Beer Bros Untapped score.
Bottle scan.
Do it. This says it's batch number 2 as well. So this is the second batch it was ever made. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's insane. Fermented in Alaska. Wow.
Alaska Anchorage Brewing Company.
What's the old Untapped say?
So I have 6 friends that have checked this in.
Okay.
4.33.
Okay.
And everyone who's checked this in, 5,800, has checked it in at 4.16.
So it's getting anywhere from 4.25 to 4.5 every single time.
Yeah.
And there's probably there's probably a bunch of 5 stars in there as well.
Probably so.
So I'm of the mindset, and this is with anything that I review, if something gets a perfect score, quote unquote, 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, perfect 100, whatever, that means it's nearly perfectly executed in what it's trying to do. It's not saying it is perfect, but it's saying it pretty much accomplished what it tried to accomplish. Yep. And seeing as I don't know a ton about this beer, but it is a bourbon barrel stout, barrel aged. I think this is just about as smooth as it gets. I don't really have anything negative to say about this beer, honestly. I can't think of anything bad about it. It looks great. It smells great. It tastes great. This is one that you could, this is definitely a shareable, I would say, especially with a bottle like this. We had 2 pretty hefty pours. We're not going to drink it all on this one episode. We'll enjoy our conversation off camera. You could easily share this between 5 or 6 people, and people would be like, that was delicious. Yeah. So I'm going to throw out a score, and you tell me if you think you agree with it.
Okay.
I'm going to say this is a 4.5 out of 5.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy 4 or 5 on Beer Advocate.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we've said just about everything we want to say about this beer. I seriously appreciate you opening it up and sharing this very rare beer. And in a sense, we could say you even sponsored this episode.
Hey,
So I really, really appreciate it.
That's the whole reason for the room, is to share beers. I don't come down here and just pull a bottle off the shelf for myself very often. And when I do, it's usually a Dogfish 120. Because
which is also a delicious beer.
Because it's been a long day kind of thing.
Right.
But that's the reason for the beers. Just be able to open a bottle and share it and enjoy it and pass along a little beer knowledge along the way and pick up some if we can as well. So that's the thing, man. Appreciate you coming over.
Totally. Well, we are going to drink the rest of this off camera, as I said before, have a little talk amongst ourselves. And but as far as this episode goes, we're going to wrap it up, and we will see you next time. Be on the lookout for next episode, because we're going to be opening another beer from this collection and reviewing it as well. So we will see you later.